The following episode features a variety of prison gang photos of early Mexican Mafia and Aryan Brotherhood members. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Also, what is written on the back of a photograph can speak volumes. I remember when taking photos was forbidden by prison authorities, and we still employed the services of the prison crime scene photographer at Folsom and San Quentin to sneak some cool group shots. Most of them would later be confiscated during cell searches, but not before we succeeded in having family members make copies for us and hold on to the negatives for future access. Beginning sometime in the early 70s, the prison people eventually got with the program and sanctioned Polaroid photo opportunities. They realized it represented revenue for the prison, memories for the fellas, and photo intel for the capitalizing gang officers like Sergeant Hankins, who would use them to help ID the prison gang members. In many ways, many things haven't changed from back in the day. This photo was taken at Soledad Central Facility by Billy Harris, also known as Buzzard from the Aryan Brotherhood, and dedicated to me while in the San Quentin Adjustment Center. It reads, "To Machine Gun Mundo of the M&M Connected. Ma never would let me wear my guns to town, so they almost caught me naked in this picture. But notice the bulge around the belly. A lot of cowpokes would think it's from sitting around the range of fire eating bear sign, but since nothing slips the hawk eyes of the fastest gunslinger this side of the Rio Grande, I know you can tell it's just my slack gun, a wraparound Colt. Keep the machine gun handy and that left hand turned inward for that famed quick draw of yours with that 6-shooter that's said to have 46 notches on the handle. The fastest gunslinger the other side of the Rio Grande, and your sidekick, two-gun buzzard, AB. Any written photo intel is invaluable to gang officers and law enforcement. Not only is it a form of self-validation, he identifies himself as Buzzard from the AB, but gives other information such as those close relationships with a Mexican Mafia member, the street gang nickname of Machine Gun, plus he confirms my prison gang affiliation when he highlights the M&M Connected. Danny Newton was also known as Animal from the AB. He was a close Emmett associate who participated in the San Quentin mop-up effort of stabbing the remaining Nuestra Familia people who remained on the yard following the 1972 war. Following the December NF murder of Cheyenne Cadena at Palm Hall and the Christmas Day MM murders of 2 NF members at Soledad, San Quentin and Folsom were designated Mexican Mafia prisons. Soledad and DVI were assigned for members of the NF. Emboldened by their superior numbers at their facilities, anyone who looked like a duck, acted like a duck, walked like a duck, as the saying goes, was targeted for assault. Since validated ME and NF members were segregated and not assigned by staff to a rival yard, only their associates suffered for being on the wrong yards. No active prison gang member, ME or NF, who claims he took out a rival-made prison gang member from either side would be giving an accurate account. Sureños and norteños, like pawns in a chess game, were used in the red versus blue conflict. Some would later become made and boast of taking out made members, but that is also fabrication. Except for one incident in Chino, only norteños and sureños were victims of the North versus South. That's it. Wendell-Norris was also known as Blue from the Aryan Brotherhood. This photo was dedicated to Lobo from Primera Flats, an early Mexican Mafia member recruited in the 60s at San Quentin. Like many of his fellow AB associates, Blue maintained a close relationship with the ME, mostly predicated on common enemies. Based primarily on racial animosity, the AB's hated rival was the Black Guerrilla family. The ME's principal rival was Nuestra Familia, which stemmed from Mexican power control over Mexican inmate factions. Blue Norris found himself in a hospital bed at UC Davis Medical Center, where he had been stabbed by his fellow members, and he was housed near Mexican Mafia member Alex Farrell, a.k.a. Mo from Eloyo Maravilla. On November 15, 1985, Mo was stabbed inside Folsom Prison's 3 block by fellow MM members, resulting from an internal matter. When Mo awoke from his coma and saw himself rigged up to a life support system, this did not agree with the predator Mo fancied himself to be. According to Blue Norris, Mo told him, "If I can't be a carnal, I don't want to live." He then proceeded to disconnect the feeding tubes, IVs, and monitors from his body, and he subsequently died on February 13, 1986, 3 months after the stabbing incident. Fred MENDRIN was primarily known as Snake Eyes, but also enjoyed the prison handle of Fast Fred and the Russian Duke. As you can already see from previous photos, AB members loved using Western references like the Brand, a popular nickname for validated members of the Aryan Brotherhood, Gunfighter, Gunslinger, and many more references from the Louis L'Amour books we all enjoyed reading in the lockup units. This photo was taken at Chino as Fred was handcuffed, holding a manila legal envelope, and giving the thumbs up. Following the April 1972 Palm Hall fatal stabbing of NF member Fred Castillo, a.k.a. Mosca, Fred was convicted of first-degree murder. He dedicated this photo to me at the San Quentin Adjustment Center sometime in 1973. It reads, "Mundo, it's a pleasure knowing you, oh gunslinging hombre you. Wishing you the best of luck wherever you go and do. May all your accomplishments be for the betterment of your caliber of hombres. Easy now. With much respect, your friend and saddle pard, Snake Eyes, a.k.a. Russian Duke. Admittedly, there are many prison events I will never talk about for obvious reasons, but Snake Eyes was one of many still alive who navigated in that dark world and was an absolute predator, an instrument of Satan. I am happy to report that Fred MENDRIN was saved by none other than Jesus Christ. For those of you caught up in the racial purity thing, allow me to introduce John Wendecker, a Hawaiian with a German father who belonged to a Chicano gang in East Oakland and a validated member of the Aryan Brotherhood. This 1970 Soledad photo of Chuco was dedicated to me by AB member Daniel Rawlinson, a.k.a. Danny Dog, when the two of us were housed in B section at San Quentin in 1973. It reads, "Mundo, one of the best to one of the best. May all 3 of us, me, you, and Chuco, gather around the campfire and eat bear signs, a cowboy term for donuts, and pick off nesters, a term used to denote NF members, with our 56 caliber Sharps Buffalo gun. All you need is a slingshot." He signs it, "Brand and Connected. With respect and loyalty always, your pard, Danny." For you history buffs, Danny Dog was also part of the San Quentin mop-up campaign against the remaining NF members and associates in the general population before San Quentin was reclaimed by the ME. There is an excellent book titled The Last General Standing by Fig Figuero, a former NF member who gives insight into the Nuestra Familia similar mop-up efforts that occurred at DVI and Soledad versus Sureños. Good read, and I highly recommend this book on the topic of the Nuestra Familia. This group photograph, taken at Folsom Prison in 1972, shows 8 members of the Aryan Brotherhood. I knew these AB members very well, either at the 4A Adjustment Center in Folsom or at San Quentin, where Danny Dog Rawlinson dedicated this one after moving with me from B section to the Adjustment Center's long-term confinement. It starts off, MG, which was short for machine gun. To my saddle pard and brother, may we always ride the ranges together, the brand and the connected. If you look closely, the word connected is underlined, and instead of 2 N's, he places 2 M's side by side for Mexican Mafia. With respect and loyalty, your pard forever, Danny AB. SQ for San Quentin, AC, Adjustment Center, 73. This was the year he gave me the photo. Some of these AB guys, Bobby Galloway, Snuffy Smith, Big Ron Perrin, and Jack Mahone, also known as Red, were among the first wave Aryan Brotherhood members. Mickey Manier is the guy who stabbed NF member Julio Lugo to death at Soledad on September 6, 1972. This created the popular code phrase, "Send him to Lugo's house," used at the time to communicate the killing of an NF member during the 1972 war. These photos were some of a series taken on Christmas Eve, one day prior to an incident that took place the following morning, December 25, 1972, Christmas Day. Richard Buffalo Hirth from the AB is on the extreme left. I believe he was killed by his own people years later at Folsom. I am shown here with Memo from Pacoima, Mango from Florencia 13, and Nego from Colton. Some of us were picked up on this day as suspects in the stabbing deaths of rival NF members Cisco Villalobos from Fresno and Paul Najera from Stockton. This was another of dozens of occasions in which the AB would collaborate with the Mexican Mafia against a prison gang adversary. Memo and Mongol have defected from the M, and Nego passed away from natural causes. Nego was also affectionately called Frank Nitti, a reference to the Sicilian East Coast mobster of a past era. Nego will be covered in an upcoming episode on the Inland Empire. This photo was taken in the Feds in 1979 and is one of the oldest Mexican Mafia group photographs from inside the BOP system. The criminal relationship between the M and AB would continue from California and throughout the many federal prisons in the United States. The way their networking system works with regard to friendly cooperation versus an undesirable goes like this. If there is an inmate targeted by the Mexican Mafia in a prison location not accessible by M or Sureños, the AB or their associates take care of the targeted individual. Conversely, if someone green-lighted by the AB can only be gotten by the M or the Sureños, they conduct the strike on the inmate that's under their sights. Tony Palacios from Garrity Loma is pictured here with fellow members Snuffy Sanchez from Florencia 13, Stony Galaz from Rancho San Pedro, and Gabby Baeza from Florencia 13. Next to Gabby is the Red Baron, also known as Barry Mills from the Aryan Brotherhood. Tony, Snuffy, and Barry Mills have all passed away. Stony is alive, in prison, and still active, a long-standing member of over 50 years. Gabby is still alive, wheelchair-bound, was the last report I received, and no longer an active member. My best to the vato we once referred to as pistolero, gunfighter in English. What can I tell you? When you're young and dumb, you say stupid things, honor the wrong fools, putting notches on your gun. Of course, we weren't talking about fistfights or arm wrestling either. You valued a lifestyle that leads to death, life in prison, someday maybe a premature trip to Brazil, drug-related diseases, and family members left behind with broken hearts. Talk about betrayal and abandonment. In the 1960s, the deputies at the LA County Jail had a slogan I never forgot. It was sick but funny. They referred to inmates in the infirmary module as sick, lame, and lazy, blind, crippled, and crazy. Cops could be morbidly funny back in the day. Today, they'd probably be demoted or fired for such insensitive comments. Prison gang members and career criminals don't deserve to be the butt of such jokes, but they are lost, and we should pray for their healing. Let's agree in prayer that these guys open their hearts to be transformed and healed by the blood of Jesus. Amen.